Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. So this is Pramod and this is another CompTIA Core 2 practice exam series, and this part is also very helpful to pass the Core 2 exam. So let's go to the questions, and this is a question number 1. The user complains that Windows updates fail to install and the system reverts the changes on reboot. The user admits disabling the Windows update service to improve performance. So which step solves the issue? So first option is reinstall the video driver. Second option is re-enable and start the Windows Update service. Third option is change NTFS permissions on C/Windows. And last option is disable antivirus software. So let's check the correct answer for this question. And the first option is reinstall the video driver. This is the incorrect answer, and the explanation is reinstalling the video driver may improve video performance but is not directly related to the resolving Windows Update installation issues caused by the disable Windows Update service. And the correct answer is second option, re-enable and start the Windows Update service. And the explanation is re-enabling and starting the Windows Update service is crucial for the system to download and install the necessary updates. Disabling this service prevents updates from being installed, leading to failed installations and reversion of changes on reboot. Third option is incorrect, changes NTFS permission on C/Windows, and the explanation is changing NTFS permissions on the Windows directory is not relevant to resolving Windows Update installation issues caused by the disable Windows Update service. And the last option also incorrect, disable antivirus software, and the explanation is disabling antivirus software may sometimes interface with Windows Update, but in this case the root cause of this issue lies in the disable Windows Update service. Enabling the service is the most appropriate step to resolve the problem. So let's go to the next question. The question number 2 is a Windows 11 laptop shows an error stating that BitLocker requires TPM. The laptop has no TPM chip on the motherboard. How can the technician enable BitLocker? First option is switch to 32-bit Windows. Second option is enable BitLocker with a USB key instead of TPM. Third option is run refrag and chkdsk first. And the last option is install a second hard disk. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The correct answer for this question, so first option is switch to 32-bit Windows is incorrect, and the explanation is switching to 32-bit Windows will not enable BitLocker on a system that requires a TPM chip. BitLocker requires specific hardware encryption capabilities and that are not dependent on the Windows architecture. Second option is enable BitLocker with a USB key instead of TPM. This is the correct answer, and the explanation is enabling BitLocker with a USB key installed instead of TPM is valid alternative for systems that do not have a TPM chip on the motherboard. BitLocker can use a USB key as a substitute for the TPM chip to provide encryption functionality. So let's check the next option. The third option is also incorrect, run defrag and chkdsk first. The explanation is running defrag and chkdsk will not enable BitLocker or address the issue of the missing TPM chip. These utilities are used for disk optimization and error checking respectively and are not related to BitLocker encryption. And the last option also incorrect, install a second hard disk. So installing a second hard disk will not enable BitLocker or address the issue of the missing TPM chip. BitLocker encryption is tied to the system hardware and requires specific encryption capabilities which cannot be achieved by adding a second hard disk. So let's move to the next question. The next question is question number 3. A remote employee's laptop is infected with ransomware. Which is the best immediate action? First option is wait until returning to the office. Second option is replace the battery. Third option is disconnect from the network to stop spread. And last option is disable the firewall. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So first option, wait until returning to the office. This is incorrect option. Waiting until returning to the office is not the best immediate action when a laptop is infected with ransomware. The longer the infected device remains connected to the network, the more damage the ransomware can cause. Second option, replace the battery, also is not correct answer. Replacing the battery is not the best immediate action when a laptop is infected with ransomware. The priority should be to contain the infection and prevent further spread. Let's check the third option. So third option is correct answer, disconnect from the network to the spread. So explanation is disconnecting from the network is the best immediate action when a laptop is infected with a ransomware. This helps stop the spread of the ransomware to other devices on the network and prevents further damage. And last option is disable the firewall. Explanation is disabling the firewall is not the best immediate action when a laptop is infected with ransomware. The firewall helps protect the device from unauthorized access and should not be disabled, especially during a security incident like a ransomware infection. So disable the firewall also not incorrect answer. This is the incorrect answer. So let's check the next question. So question number 4 is user receive access denied when attempting to write to a shared folder. Other users can write to the same share. Which of the following is the first place to check permissions? So first option is local BIOS setting. Next option is NTFS/share permission on the folder. Third option is bootloader configuration. And last option is Windows registry. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So the first option is local BIOS setting is incorrect answer. Local BIOS settings are not related to the file permissions or shared folders. They control hardware settings and boot order, not access permission to the files or folders. Second option is NTFS/share permissions on the folder is the correct answer. NTFS/share permissions on the folder are the first place to check when a user receives an access denied error when trying to write to shared folder. These permissions control who can access the folder and what level of access they have. Third option is bootloader configuration is also incorrect option. Bootloader configuration is not relevant to file permissions on shared folders. It is used to configure the operating system boot process, not access permissions to specific folders. Last option is Windows registry. This is also incorrect answer because Windows registry is not the first place to check for permissions on a shared folder. The Windows registry store configuration settings for the operating system and applications, not file permissions. So let's move to the next question. The next question is Windows 10 system will not boot. The user receives an error, boot MGR is missing. So which tool or method is most likely to fix it? First option is SFC/scan now. Second option is boot from Windows installation media and run startup repair. Third option is format the disk with exFAT. And last option is enable virtualization in the BIOS. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So first option is SFC/scan now is the incorrect answer, and the explanation is the SFC/scan now command is used to scan and repair corrupted system files in Windows. While it can help fix certain system file issues, it is not the most likely solution for a boot MGR is missing error, which typically requires a different approach. Second option is boot from Windows installation media and run startup repair. This is the correct answer for this question. The explanation is booting from Windows installation media and running startup repair is the most likely method to fix a boot MGR is missing error. Startup repair can automatically diagnose and fix common boot problems, including issues with the boot MGR file. Third option is format the disk with the exFAT. This is the incorrect answer. Formatting the disk with exFAT is not a solution for boot MGR is missing error. This action would erase all data on the disk and create a new file system, so which is not related to repairing the boot MGR issue. Last option is enable virtualization in the BIOS. This is an incorrect answer. Enabling virtualization in the BIOS is not a solution for a boot MGR is missing error. Virtualization settings in the BIOS are unrelated to the boot manager issues. We would not address the underlying cause of the error. So let's move to the next question. And the question number 6 is a Linux server is failing to start network services at boot. The technician wants to view the system boot messages. So which command is most relevant? The first option is sudo. And the question number 7 is a manager reports repeated account logouts, checking logs. You see many failed logons from random IP addresses. So what is the best explanation? First option is the manager is forwarding her password repeatedly. Second option is a brute force attack is targeting her account. Third option is the system clock is off by 24 hours, and the last option is the user certificate is expired. So let's check the correct option for this question. So the correct answer The first option is the manager is forwarding her password repeatedly. This is the incorrect answer. The manager forwarding her password repeatedly would not result in repeated account lockouts from random IP addresses. The explanation does not align with the evidence of failed logons from various locations. Second option is a brute force attack is targeting her account. This is the correct answer because it's the most likely explanation for the repeated account lockouts from random IP addresses. This type of attack involves automatic attempts to guess the password, leading to multiple failed logon attempts and subsequent lockouts. Third option is the system clock is off by 24 hours. This is also incorrect answer. The system clock being off by more than 24 hours would not directly cause repeated account lockouts from random IP addresses, while an incorrect system clock can lead to authentication issue. It is not the most plausible explanation in this scenario. And the last option is the user certificate is expired. This is also incorrect answer. The user certificate being expired would not typically result in repeated account lockouts from random IP addresses. While an expired certificate can cause authentication issues, it is not the primary reason for multiple failed logon attempts from various locations. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, after cleaning a malware infection, the user complains that web searches still redirect to unwanted sites. So which location is most likely still affected? First option is the boot configuration data store. Second option is the recovery partition. Third option is the browser proxy settings or malicious browser extensions. And the last option is group policy local computer settings. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So first option is the boot configuration data store. This is also incorrect answer. The boot configuration data store is not typically affected by malware infections that cause web searches to redirect to unwanted site. It is primarily responsible for managing the operating system boot process and system startup configuration. The second option is the recovery partition. The recovery partition used for system recovery and restoration purposes and is not directly related to the web browser settings or behavior. Malware infections affecting web searches are more likely to target browser settings or extensions. Third option is the browser proxy settings or malicious browser extension. This is the correct answer. The browser proxy settings or malicious browser extensions are the most likely locations still affected by the malware infection causing web searches to redirect to unwanted sites. Malware often alters these settings to control internet traffic and redirect users to malicious websites. The last option is group policy local computer setting. This is the incorrect answer. Are typically used to manage system configurations and security settings across a network domain. While malware could potentially modify these settings, they are less likely to be the cause of web searches redirect to unwanted sites compared to browser settings or extensions. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, administrator wants to restrict user from installing unauthorized software on a Windows 10 system. Which USC settings helps the most? First option is disable Windows Defender. Second option is lower the screen timeout. Third option is configure pop-ups in the web browser. Last option is always notify when apps try to install software. So let's check the correct answer for this question. Correct answer is, so the first option is disable Windows Defender. This is the incorrect answer. So disabling Windows Defender is now related to restricting users from installing unauthorized software. Windows Defender is an antivirus program and disabling it may compromises the security of the system, but it does not directly address the issue on unauthorized software installation. Second option is lower the screen timeout. This is also incorrect option. Lowering the screen timeout is not related to restricting users from installing unauthorized software. Screen timeout settings are related to power management and user convenience, but they do not prevent users from installing software on the system. Third option is configure pop-ups in the browser. This is also not correct answer. Configuring pop-up browsers is not directly related to the restricting users from installing unauthorized software on Windows 10 systems. Browser pop-up settings are related to the web browsing experience and security, but they do not control software installation permissions on the system. And the last option is always notify when apps try to install software. This is the correct answer for this question. The always notify when apps try to install software USC setting is the most relevant choice for restricting users from installing unauthorized software on Windows 10 systems. These settings ensure that users are prompted for confirmation when an application tries to make changes to the system, including software installations. It helps prevent unauthorized software installations and enhances system security. So let's go to the next question. The next question is, a technician wants to confirm system file integrity on a Windows 11 PC. So which command line tool is most helpful? First option is netstat space -a. Second option is sfc/scannow. Third option is ds-track. Last option is net space use. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So first option is netstat space -a is not correct answer. The netstat -a command is used to display active network connections and listening ports on a Windows PC. So it is not related to confirming system file integrity. So it is not the most helpful tool for this purpose. Second option is sfc/scannow. This is the correct answer for this question. The sfc/scannow command is the system file checker tool that scans and verifies the integrity of all protected system files on a Windows PC. It is the most helpful tool for confirming system file integrity and fixing any corrupted files. Third option is ds-tag. The ds-tag command used to display information about DirectX components and diagnose an issue related to the DirectX on a Windows PC. It is not designed for confirming system file integrity, so it is not the most helpful tool in the scenario. That's why this is also incorrect answer. And the last option is net space use. This is also incorrect answer. The net use command is used to connect or disconnect a computer from shared resources on a network. It is not related to the confirming system file integrity. So it is not the most helpful tool for this task. So let's go to the next question. And the next question is, a user complains that a Windows 10 PC's performance is slow and this usage is 100% in Task Manager. So which built-in service might cause that? First option is DHCP client. Second option is Telnet server. Third option is SNMP trap. Last option is Windows indexing service. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So first option is DHCP client is the incorrect answer. The DHCP client service is responsible for obtaining IP addresses and network configuration settings from a DHCP server. It is not directly related to disk usage or performance issues on a Windows 10 PC. Second option is Telnet server. This is also incorrect answer. The Telnet server service allows remote users to log in and execute commands on a Windows PC. While it may consume some resources, it is not typically a service that would cause disk usage to be at 100% or affect overall performance. Third option is SNMP trap. This is also incorrect answer because the SNMP trap service is used for network monitoring and management. It is not likely to be the cause of high disk usage or slow performance on a Windows 10 PC. Last option is Windows indexing service. This is the correct answer for this question because the Windows indexing service is responsible for indexing files on the system to improve search functionality. If the service is actively indexing a large number of files, it can cause high risk usage and slow performance on the PC. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, a technician completes and plays Windows upgrade. The user reports the new OS runs but certain apps crash on a launch. So which step should be tried first? The first option is replace the motherboard. Second option is disable legacy USB in the BIOS. Third option is reinstall or update the affected applications. And the last option is run a hardware burn in test. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is replace the motherboard. This is an incorrect answer. Replacing the motherboard is not appropriate first step to address application crashes after a Windows upgrade. The issues is likely related to software compatibility rather than hardware. Second option is disable legacy USB in the BIOS. This is also incorrect answer because disabling legacy USB in the BIOS may help with certain hardware related issues, but it is not directly related to the resolving application crashes. The focus should be on addressing the software aspect first. Third option is reinstall or update the affected application. So this is the correct answer for this question. Reinstalling or updating affected applications should be the first step to try when certain apps crash on launch after a Windows upgrade. This can help resolve compatibility issues and ensure that the applications are running correctly on the new OS. Run a hardware burning test. This is also incorrect answer because running a hardware burning test is not necessary to address application crashes after a Windows upgrade. The issues is more likely related to software compatibility, so focusing on the software aspect first is recommended. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, a Windows user forgets the administrator password. The technician uses advanced boot options to open a command prompt but cannot access the c/user/admin folder. So which step might help? First option is clear the CMOS settings. Second option is run netstart-o. Third option is enable the built-in administrator account offline. Last option is use a different NIC driver. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So first option is clear the CMOS setting. This is the incorrect answer. Clearing the CMOS setting will reset the BIOS configuration but will not directly help in accessing the administrator folder on the Windows system. Second option is run netstart-o. This is the command. This is also incorrect answer. Running a netstart-o is a command used to display active network connections and their associated process IDs. It is not relevant to accessing the administrator folder in this scenario. Third option is enable the built-in administrator account offline. This is the correct answer for this question, and explanation for this answer is enabling the built-in administrative account offline can provide access to the system with administrative privileges, allowing the technician to access c/users-admin folder and reset the forgotten password. Last option, use a different NIC driver. This is also incorrect answer. Using a different NIC driver is unrelated to accessing the administrator folder or resetting the forgotten password on the Windows system. So let's move to the next question. The next question is a user install an unsigned driver for a custom device. Now Windows crashes at startup. Which advanced boot option can help remove or disable the driver? First option is disable secure boot in UEFI. Second option is last known boot configuration. Third option is safe mode, and last option is boot Linux from USB. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is disable secure boot in UEFI. This is the incorrect answer. Disabling the secure boot in UEFI may help with booting unsigned drivers, but it is not specifically designed to remove or disable specific driver, causing Windows crashes at startup. Next option is last known good configuration. This is also incorrect answer. So last known good configuration restores the system to the last known good state, which may help with booting issues caused by recent changes, but it does not specifically target the removal or disabling of a specific driver. Third option is the safe mode, and this is the correct answer. So let's check the explanation for this answer. Safe mode is the correct option as it allows Windows to start with a limited set of drivers and services, which can help in identifying and removing the problematic unsigned drivers causing the system to crash at startup. Last option is boot Linux from USB. This is also incorrect answer. Booting Linux from USB is not a relevant option for removing or disabling an unsigned driver causing Windows crashes at startup. So let's move to the next question. The next question is user logs into Windows 10 at the office but can't access any domain-based resources if the network is unplugged. So which type of account is being used? First option is local admin account. Second option is domain account, no cache credentials. Third option is local standard users, and last option is Microsoft Online account. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is local admin account. This is the incorrect answer. The explanation is a local admin account, user account that has administrative privileges on a specific device only. It does not rely on network connectivity to access resources. So the issue described in the question is not related to the using a local admin account. And the second option is domain account, no cache credentials. This is the correct answer for this question. And the explanation is a domain account without cache credentials require network connectivity to authenticate against the domain controller. If the network is unplugged, the user will not be able to access domain-based resources. So which aligns with the issues described in the question. Third option is local standard user. This is also incorrect answer. A local standard user account is a non-administrative account that is limited to the device it is created on. Like a local admin account, it does not rely on network connectivity to access resources. So the issue described in the question is not related to using a local standard user account. And the last option is Microsoft Online account is also incorrect answer because the Microsoft Online account is used for service like Outlook, OneDrive and Skype, but is not directly related to the domain-based resources on a Windows domain network. The issue described in the question is more likely to related to the type of account used to access domain resources. So let's move to the next question. Next question is, user PC is infected with spyware that logs keystrokes and browser history. So which symptoms is most indicative of this type of malware? First option is frequent VSOD error on boot. Second option is unwanted browser toolbars and suspicious pop-ups. Third option is computer fails post. Last option is automatic OS updates failing. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is frequent VSOD errors on a boot. This is incorrect answer. Frequent VSOD errors on a boot are more likely to indicate hardware or driver issues rather than spyware that logs keystrokes and browser history. Second option is unwanted browser toolbars and suspicious pop-ups. This is the correct answer because these are common symptoms of spyware that logs keystrokes and browser history. These symptoms indicate that the user's PC may have infected with this type of malware. Third option is computer fails post. This is also incorrect answer because a computer failing post is usually a hardware related issue and is not typically associated with the spyware that logs keystrokes and browser history. The last option is automatic OS updates failing. This is also incorrect answer because this could be a symptom of various issues such as a network connectivity problems or software conflicts, but is not a common indicator of spyware that logs keystrokes and browser history. So let's move to the next question. Next question is, a technician attempts to run disk defragmenter on a Windows 11 system with an SSD. The optimize button is read out of that drive. So which is the best explanation? The first option is disk is nearly full. Second option is Windows automatically uses stream for the SSD, so manual defrag is not applicable. Third option is the user must switch to swipe mode first. Last option is the driver is formatted with exFAT. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is disk is nearly full. This is the incorrect answer, and the explanation is disk being nearly full can someone cause the optimize button to be grayed out in disk defragmenter. This is because there may not be enough free space on the drive to properly optimize the data. Second option is Windows automatically uses stream for SSD, so manual defrag is not applicable. This is the correct answer for this question. The explanation is Windows automatically uses stream for SSDs to optimize performance and extend the lifespan of the drives. Stream helps SSD manage unused data blocks and maintain performance. So manual defragmentation is not necessary or applicable for SSDs. Third option is the user must switch to safe mode first. Switching to safe mode is not necessary for running disk defragmenter on SSD. Safe mode is typically used for troubleshooting and resolving system issues, but is not a requirement for optimizing an SSD. Last option is driver is formatted with exFAT. This is also incorrect answer. The file system format of the drive, such as exFAT, does not directly impact the ability to run disk defragmenter on SSD. The issues with the optimizer button being grayed out is more likely related to the drive being an SSD and Windows automatically managing optimization through stream. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, the company wants to ensure devices require two factors for authentication. Currently everyone uses username/password, so which option adds another factor? First option is the secondary password field, the second password field. Second option is the smartphone authenticator code. Third option is format the local drives with NTFS. Last option is BIOS setup password. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is the second password field. Adding a second password field does not provide an additional factor for authentication. It instead relies on something the user knows password and does not introduce a new factor such as something the user has or is. That's why this is the incorrect answer. And the second option is the smartphone authenticator code, and this is the correct answer for this question. And the explanation is, using a smartphone authenticator code adds a second factor for authentication as it requires something the user has smartphone in addition to the username/password. This enhances security by implementing two-factor authentication. Third option is format the local drives with NTFS. This is the incorrect answer. Formatting the local drives with NTFS is related to file system management and has no direct impact on authentication methods or adding an additional factor for authentication. Last option is BIOS setup password. Setting up a BIOS password is security measure for accessing the computer BIOS settings and does not add an additional factor for authentication when logging into the device. So let's move to the next question. So next question is, user wants to encrypt a removable USB drive, so only those with a password can unlock it. So which Windows feature is best? First option is AFS on the users folder. Second option is BitLocker to go. Third option is MS config startup encryption. Last option is Windows Hello. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is AFS on the users folder. So explanation: AFS encrypting file system used to encrypt individual files and folders on a Windows system and not entire removable drives like USB drives. It is not the best option for encrypting a removable USB drive with password. That's why this is the incorrect answer. Second option is BitLocker to go. This is the correct answer for this question. And let's check the explanation. So BitLocker to go is a Windows feature. It's basically designed to encrypt removable drives like USB drives. It allows users to set a password to unlock the drive and provides encryption to protect the data stored on the drive. This makes it the best choice for encrypting a removable USB drives with a password. Third option is MS config startup encryption. This is the incorrect answer. This is tool and used to manage system startup settings and services, not encryption features. It does not provide the functionality needed to encrypt a removable USB drive with a password. Last option is Windows Hello. This is also incorrect answer. It's biometric authentication feature in a Windows that allows users to log in using facial recognition, fingerprint or PIN. It is not designed for encrypting removable drives like USB drives with a password, making it not the best option for the user's requirement. So let's move to the next question. The next question is: a user's Windows system has a corrupt boot sector. So which recovery option could rebuild the MBR or GPT information? First option is expand the page file. Second option is ping-t. Third option is convert the disk to dynamic. And last option is boot from Windows Media and use boot trace/fix MBR or fix boot. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is expand the page file. So expand the page file is related to rebuilding the MBR or GPT information. The page file is used by the operating system as virtual memory, and increasing its size would not address a corrupt boot sector issue. Second option is ping-t. So using the ping-t command is a network troubleshooting tool and has no relevant to rebuilding the MBR or GPT information on a Windows system with a corrupt boot sector. So that's why this is also incorrect answer. Third option is convert the disk to dynamic. So converting the disk to dynamic is a disk management operation that changes the disk layout and is not a recovery option for rebuilding MBR or GPT information. It does not address the specific issue of a corrupt boot sector. That's why this is also incorrect answer. And the last option is boot from Windows Media and use boot trace/fix MBR or fix boot. And this is the correct answer for this question. And let's check the explanation. So booting from Windows Media and using the boot trace/fix MBR or boot trace/fix boot commands are valid recovery options for rebuilding the MBR or GPT information on a Windows system with a corrupted boot sector. These commands help repair the master boot record MBR or GUID partition table GPT to restore the system's boot functionality. So let's move to the next question. So the next question is: a technician needs to examine services launching at startups and selectively disable them. So which utility is best suited? First option is MS Info 32. Second option is NMS config system configuration. Third option is regedit. Last option is CMD A plus DiskPart. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is MS Info 32. This is the incorrect answer. So MS Info 32 is a system information tool that provides detailed information about the hardware and software components of a Windows system. While it can be useful for gathering system information, it is not the best utility for examining and selectively disabling startup services. And the second option is MS config system configuration. This is the correct answer for this question. So MS config system configuration is the best utility for examining services launching at startup and selectively disabling them. It allows users to manage startup programs, services, and boot settings in a user-friendly interface, making it a suitable choice for the technician's task. Third option is regedit. So regedit is a Windows registry editing tool that allows users to view and edit the system registry. While it can be used to modify startup settings, it is not a user-friendly or straightforward as MS config for selectively disabling startup services. That's why this is not a correct answer. And the last option is CMD A plus DiskPart. This is also not correct answer. This is a command line utility for managing disk partitions. It is not related to the examining services launching at startup or selectively disabling them. So it is not the best choice for the technician's task. So let's move to the next question. Next question is user lost data after a virus infection. The technician removes the virus. Which next step helps avoid data loss in the future? First option is implement a regular backup strategy. Second option is block all USB ports. Third option is disable the user's account. And last option is extend the partition. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is implement a regular backup strategy. This is the correct answer for this question. And the explanation for this question is implementing a regular backup strategy is crucial in preventing data loss in the future. Regular backup ensures that important data is securely stored and can be easily recovered in case of virus infections, hardware failures, or other unforeseen events. Second option is block all USB ports. This is not a correct answer. Blocking all USB ports may prevent certain types of virus infections that spread through external devices, but it does not address the root cause of the data loss. It is not a comprehensive solution to prevent data loss in the future. Third option is disable the user's account. This is also not correct answer because a disable the user's account may prevent the user from accessing certain files or systems, but it does not directly address the issue of a data loss caused by virus infections. It is not a proactive measure to prevent data loss in the future. And the last option is extend the partition. This is also not correct option because extending the partition does not directly address the issue of data loss caused by virus infections. It is a disk management operation that does not necessarily improve data protection or prevent future data loss incidents. So let's move to the next question. Next question is a user complains that PC restart daily around midnight. Checking task scheduler, you see a Windows Update auto restart job. Which step might prevent unexpected restarts? First option is switch to static IP. Second option is disable DNS client. Third option is change active hours or restart schedule for Windows updates. And last option is update the GPU driver. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So first option is switch to static IP, and the explanation is switching to a static IP address will not prevent unexpected restart caused by Windows Update auto restart jobs. This setting is unrelated to the automatic restart behavior of the system. And the last option is disable DNS client. This is also incorrect answer. So this is the second option. This is also incorrect. Disable DNS client because disable DNS client will not prevent unexpected restart caused by Windows Update auto restart jobs. The DNS client service is not directly related to the system automatic restart behavior. Third option is change active hours or restart schedule or Windows Update. This is the correct option for this question and this is the correct answer. So changing active hours or the restart schedule for Windows Update is the correct step to prevent unexpected restart caused by the Windows Update auto restart job. By adjusting the active hours or scheduling updates to occur at a different time, the system can avoid restarting during critical work hours. Last option is update the GPU driver. This is the incorrect answer because updating the GPU driver will not prevent unexpected restart caused by Windows Update auto restart jobs. While updating drivers is important for system stability, it will not address the specific issue of daily restarts due to Windows Update settings. So let's move to the next question. The next question is a technician wants to see if suspicious process connect to unknown IP addresses. Which command line tool can display live TCP connections by process ID? The first option is ipconfig/display DNS. Second option is ds tag. Third option is expand space -r, and last option is netstack space -o. So let's check the correct answer. The first option is ipconfig/display DNS. This is incorrect answer for this question because ipconfig space/display DNS command is used to display the contents of the DNS resolver cache. It does not provide information about live TCP connections by process ID. So it is not a correct tool for the technician's purpose. And second option is ds tag. This is also not correct answer for this question because ds tag command used to gather information about the DirectX components installed on a computer. It does not have the capability to display live TCP connections by process ID. So it is not a correct tool for the technician's purpose. Third option is expand space -r. This is also incorrect answer because expand -r command used to extract files from a compressed cabinet .cap file. It does not have the functionality to display live TCP connection by process ID. So it is not the correct tool for the technician's purpose. And the last option is netstat space -o. This is the correct answer for this question, because the netstat -o command used to display active TCP connections, ports and the process IDs associated with each connection. This tool can help the technician identify suspicious processes connecting to unknown IP addresses, making it the correct choice for the task at hand. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, a corporate user cannot authenticate on the domain from home with a wired connection. The Windows Credentials Manager shows no save credentials, which is the best explanation. First option is network cable is defective. Second option is the OS is 32-bit. Third option is the laptop is broken. Fourth option is the user's cache domain credentials are missing or never created. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is the network cable is defective. This is the incorrect answer, because the network cable being defective would result in a visual connectivity issue, causing the user not have network access at all. This would not specifically affect the user's ability to authenticate on the domain from home with a wired connection. The second option is the OS is 32-bit. The operating system being 32-bit or 62-bit does not directly impact the user's ability to authenticate it on the domain from home with a wired connection. This issue is more likely related to network or domain credential setting. Third option is the laptop is broken, and the explanation is this is also incorrect answer. The laptop being broken would result in a hardware issue that goes beyond just the inability to authenticate on the domain from a home with a wired connection. The choice does not address the specific issue mentioned in the question. And the last option is the user's cache domain credentials are missing or never created. And this is the correct answer for this question. And the explanation is the user cache domain credentials being missing or never created could explain why the corporate user cannot authenticate on the domain from home with a wired connection. Without cache credentials, the user may not be able to access the domain resources when not connected to the corporate network. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, a technician notices that every time the user logs on, many unknown apps try to start. The user can close them via Task Manager. Which tool can permanently prevent them from starting? First option is Windows Defender Offline. Second option is chkdsk /r. Third option is msconfig a+ startup tab or Task Manager startup. The last option is this part. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is Windows Defender Offline. This is an incorrect answer, because this is a tool used to scan and remove malware from a computer system. It is not designed to prevent unknown apps from starting up during user logon. Second option is chkdsk /r. This is also incorrect answer. This is a command used to check and repair disk errors on a Windows system. It is not related to preventing unknown apps from starting up during user logon. Third option is msconfig a+ startup tab or Task Manager startup. This is a correct answer for this question. So msconfig or Task Manager startup tab allows users to manage the startup program that run when the computer boots up. By disabling unwanted apps from starting up, the user can prevent them from launching every time they log on. Last option is this part. So this part is a command line disk partition utility in Windows. It is not used to prevent unknown apps from starting up during user logon. That's why this is the incorrect answer. So let's move to the next question. Next question is, a Windows 11 machine shows a Windows license is not genuine notification. The user says it was fine yesterday. Which step is the best first troubleshooting approach? First option is delete the user account. Second option is disable UEFI secure boot. Third option is reinstall the OS. And last option is check the system clock /date and reactivate if needed. So let's check the correct answer for this question. First option is delete the user account, and this is the incorrect answer. So deleting the user account will not resolve the issue of a Windows license is not genuine notification. This action is unrelated to the problem at hand and will not address the root cause of the issue. Second option is disable the UEFI secure boot. This is also incorrect answer, because disabling UEFI secure boot is not the best first troubleshooting approach for a Windows license. It is not genuine notification. The setting is related to system security and boot processes, not Windows activation. Third option is reinstall the OS. This is also incorrect answer, because reinstalling the OS should be considered as a last resort troubleshooting step for a Windows license is not genuine notification. It is a time consuming and drastic measure that may not be necessary to resolve the issue. And the last option is check the system clock / date and reactivate if needed. This is the correct answer because the checking the system clock date and reactivating if needed is the best first troubleshooting approach for a Windows license is not junior notification. Incorrect system date / time settings can cause activation issues, and reactivating the license can often resolve the problem without a need for a full OS deinstallation. So let's move to the next question. The next question is a user complains that every time they open a web browser, a particular search toolbar reappears, which is the most likely cause. The first option is the DNS server is offline. The second option is a malicious browser extensions are pooped. Third option is the local firewall is blocking traffic, and last option is the NIC driver is uninstalled. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is the DNS server is offline. The DNS server being offline would not cause a specific search toolbar to reappear every time the user opens a web browser. DNS server issues typically result in the inability to resolve domain names to IP addresses. The second option is the malicious browser extensions for poop. This is the correct answer for this question because malicious browser extensions or potentially unwanted program or PUP is the most likely cause for persistent search toolbar reappearing in the web browser. These types of extensions or programs can hijack browser settings and display unwanted toolbars or search features. Third option is the local firewall is blocking traffic. This is the incorrect answer because the local firewall blocking traffic would not specifically cause a search toolbar to reappear in the web browser. Firewall issues typically result in the network connectivity problems or block access to specific websites or services. That's why this is also incorrect answer. And the last option is the NIC driver is uninstalled. This is also incorrect answer because the NIC driver being uninstalled would not directly cause a search toolbar to reappear in the web browser. NIC driver issues typically result in network connectivity problems or inability to connect to the internet. So that's why this is also the incorrect answer. So let's move to the next question. The next question is which of the following is the best practice for user data / privacy when disposing of a hard drive with a sensitive information? First option is reformat with FAT32. Second option is rename the volume label. Third option is only delete the user profile folder. And the last option is use a secure wipe utility or physically destroy the drive. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is reformat with FAT32. This is incorrect answer because reformatting a hard drive with FAT32 does not guarantee the complete removal of sensitive information. It is possible for data to still be recovered after a simple reformatting process, making it a less secure option for disposing of a hard drive with sensitive information. Second option is rename the volume label. This is also incorrect answer because renaming the volume label of a hard drive does not remove or secure the sensitive information stored on the drive. It is a cosmetic change that does not affect the actual data, so it is not a best practice for protecting user data / privacy when disposing of a hard drive. Third option is only delete the user profile folder. This is also incorrect answer because only deleting the user profile folder does not ensure the complete removal of sensitive information from a hard drive. Deleting files can still be recovered using data recovery tools, so this method is not sufficient for protecting user data privacy when disposing of hard drive and sensitive information. The last option is use the secure wipe utility or a physical destroy the drive. This is the correct answer for this question because using a secure wipe utility or physically destroying the drive are best practices for protecting user data / privacy when disposing of a hard drive with sensitive information. Secure wipe utilities ensure that data is overwritten and irrecoverable, while physically destroying the drive make it impossible to retrieve any information from it. That's why this is the correct answer. So let's move to the next question. The next question is a user cannot map a network drive to a server that uses SMP v2. The user is on Windows 7 without updates, which is the likely fix. So first option is replace the workstation NIC. Second option disable BitLocker. Third option is install Windows Update for enable SMP2 via patch. And last option is change the OS to 32-bit. So let's check the correct answer. The first option is replace the workstation NIC. So replacing the workstation NIC will not resolve the issue of not being able to map a network drive to server that uses SMP v2. The issue is related to the Windows 7 operating system and not its support for SMP v2. That's why this is the incorrect answer. Second option is disable BitLocker. So disabling BitLocker, a drive encryption feature will not address the problem of not being able to map a network drive to a server that uses SMBv2. The issue lies with the SMBv2 protocol compatibility on the Windows 7 system. Third option is install Windows updates or enable SMBv2 via patch. This is the correct answer for this question. And explanation is installing Windows update or enabling SMBv2 via patch is likely the fix for the user's inability to map a network drives to server that uses SMBv2. And Windows 7 without updates may lack the necessary support for SMBv2. And enabling it through updates or patches can resolve the issue. That's why this is the correct answer. And the last option is change the OS to 32-bit. This is also incorrect answer because the changing the OS to 32-bit will not solve the problem of not being able to map a network drive to a server that uses SMBv2. The issue is related to the SMBv2 protocol compatibility and can be resolved by updating the existing Windows 7 operating system. So let's move to the next question. And the next question is, a technician needs to verify system memory uses over time. So which built-in Windows tool shows memory uses, CPU load and disk activity graphically? First option is NSLOOKUP, second option is BC Reddit, third option is Performance Monitor, Performed, and last option is SMC. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is NSLOOKUP and the NSLOOKUP is incorrect answer. And the explanation is NSLOOKUP is a command line tool used for querying DNS servers to obtain domain name or IP address information. It is not related to monitoring system memory uses, CPU load or disk activity graphically. Second option is BCDedit. This is also command line tool used for managing boot configuration data in Windows. It is not designed to show memory uses, CPU load or disk activity graphically. That's why this is also incorrect answer. Third option is Performance Monitor, Perform. This is the correct answer for this question. So Performance Monitor, also known as Perform, is a built-in Windows tool that allows users to monitor and analyze system performance metrics such as memory uses, CPU load and disk activity graphically over time. It is a correct choice for verifying system memory uses. And the last option is SFC. This is also incorrect answer. SFC, the system file checker, is a command line tool used to scan and repair corrupted system files in a Windows. It is not used for monitoring system performance metrics graphically. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, a macOS OS user wants to install an app from a third-party developer that is not on the Apple App Store. By default, macOS blocks the installation. Which security and privacy settings should be modified? So first option is turn on IC Cloud Keychain. Second option is disable File Vault. Third option is enable Time Machine. The last option is allow apps downloaded from App Store and identified developers. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So first option is turn on iCloud Keychain, and explanation is turning on iCloud Keychain is related to securely storing and synchroning password across Apple devices. It is not directly related to allowing the installation of third-party apps on macOS. That's why this is incorrect answer. Second option is disable File Vault. Disabling File Vault is related to encryption the data on Mac's hard drive. It does not affect the ability to install third-party apps on macOS. So let's check the next. Third option is enable Time Machine. This is also incorrect answer. So enabling Time Machine is related to backing up data on Mac. It does not impact the ability to install third-party apps on macOS. Last option is allow apps downloaded from App Store and identified developers. So this is the correct answer. So allowing apps downloaded from App Store and identified developer is the correct setting to modify in order to install apps from third-party developers on macOS. This setting ensures that apps from trusted sources can be installed on the system. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, while troubleshooting Linux permissions, you see a file set with rw-r --r --. So which user or group can modify the file? First option is only the root user. Second option, anyone in the same group. Third option is all users. And last option is the file's owner. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is only the root user. This is an incorrect answer. Only the root user has the permission to modify the file in the scenario. The file permissions are set to rw-r --r --, which means the owner of the file has read and write permissions, while the group and other users have only read permissions. Since the root users has super user privileges, they can override any file permissions and modify the file. Second option is anyone in the same group. This is also incorrect answer, because anyone in the same group, as the file does not have the permissions to modify the file. The file permissions are set to rw-r-r-, which means only the owner of the file has read and write permissions, while the group and other users have only read permissions. Users in the same group, as the file can only read the file, not modify it. That's why this is also incorrect answer. Third option is all users. This is also incorrect. All users, including those not in the same groups as the file or the file's owner, do not have the permissions to modify the file. The permissions are set to rw-r-r-, which means only the owner of the file has read and write permissions, while the group and other users have only read permissions. So all users fall under the category of other users in this scenario. And the last option is the file's owner. This is the correct answer for this question. The file's owner is the only user who can modify the file. The file permission are set to rw-r-r, which means the owner of the file has read and write permissions, while the group and other users have only read permissions. As owner of the file, the user has the necessary permissions to modify the file. So let's move to the next question. Next question is on Windows. You want to remotely manage these partitions. Which administrative tool provides a GUI for storage management from another computer? First option is services.msc. Second option is system information. Third option is sound mixer. Fourth option is computer management A plus disk management. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is services.msc. This is the incorrect answer. So this is a tool used to manage Windows services, not disk partitions. It does not provide GUI for storage management from another computer. Second option is system information. So system information provides details about the system hardware, software and components, but does not offer disk partition management capabilities. So it is not a correct tool for remotely managing disk partitions. So this is also incorrect answer. Third answer is a sound mixer. The sound mixer is a tool used to adjust audio settings and volume levels on a Windows system. It is not related to disk partition management and does not provide GUI for storage management from another computer. And last option is computer management A plus disk management. So this is the correct answer for this question. So computer management, disk management is the correct administrative tool that provides a GUI for storage management, including disk partition management on Windows system. It allows users to remotely manage disk partitions from another computer using a graphical interface. So let's move to the next question. Next question is user Windows laptop continuously displays limited or no connectivity on a home Wi-Fi network. Which is the best built-in utility to isolate the cause? First option is defrag. Second option is event viewer security log. Third option is performance monitor. And the last option is Windows network troubleshooter or troubleshoot problems wizard. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So correct answer is the first option is defrag, and this is not correct answer. So defrag is utility used to defragment the hard drive and optimize disk performance. It is not related to diagnosing network connectivity issues and therefore not the best option for isolating the cause of the limited or no connectivity error. Second option is event viewer security log. So this option is also incorrect. Event viewer security log is to track security related events on the system. While it may provide information about network related security events, it is not the most suitable utility for troubleshooting network connectivity issues like the limited or the connectivity error. Third option is performance monitor. This is also incorrect. Performance monitor is a tool used to monitor system performance metrics such as CPU uses, memory uses, and disk activity. While it can be helpful in diagnosing performance related issues, it is not specifically designed to troubleshoot network connectivity problems like the limited or no connectivity error. Last option is Windows network troubleshooter or troubleshoot problems wizard. This is the correct answer for this question. So Windows network troubleshooter or the troubleshoot problems wizard is the best built-in utility for isolating the cause of network connectivity issues like the limited or no connectivity error. It can automatically diagnose and resolve common network problems, making it the most appropriate choice in this scenario. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, a technician needs to verify digital signatures on system files, which command checks and repairs them if necessary. The first option is GPU update / force. Second option expand -f. Third option is fix boot. And last option is SFC / scan down. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is GPU update / force is incorrect answer. The GPU update /force command is to force refresh of group policy settings on a Windows system. It does not check or repair digital signatures on system files. Second option is expand-f. This is also a command used to expand one or more compressed file. It does not check or repair digital signature on system file. That's why this is also incorrect. Third option is fix boot. The fix boot command used to write a new boot sector into the system partition to fix boot related issues. It does not check or repair digital signature on system files. And the last option is SFC/scan now. This is the correct answer for this question. The explanation is the SFC/scan now command is used to scan the integrity of all protected system files and repair any corrupted or missing files with the correct versions. This command can be used to verify digital signatures on the system files and repair them if necessary. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, the system has a wrong time zone and user complaints calendar appointments are off by hours. Where can the technician fix this? First option is boot.ini. Second option is device manager. Third option is date and time settings in control panel or setting apps. Last option is place effect or Windows safe mode. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So boot.ini, this is the incorrect answer, and this is the system file used in older version of Windows to configure the operating system's boot options. It does not have any settings related to the time zone or date/time adjustment. Second option is the device manager. This is also incorrect answer because the device manager is tool used to manage hardware devices and drivers on a Windows system. It does not have any settings related to time zone or date/time adjustments. Third option is date and time settings in the control panel or setting app. This is the correct answer for this question. Date and time settings in the control panel or settings app is where the user can adjust a time zone and date time settings on a Windows system. Changing the time zone here will correct the calendar appointments and ensure they are displayed correctly. Last option is press effect for Windows safe mode. So pressing effect or Windows safe mode is used to boot Windows into safe mode, which is a troubleshooting mode. It does not provide access to time zone or date time settings for this mode. So this is also incorrect answer. So let's move to the next question. Next question is, a user logs into Windows and sees that the desktop icons and layouts are reset each time. So which Windows file might be corrupted? First option is bootmgr, second option is hosts, third option is pagefile.sys, last option is the user's local profile ntusers.dat. So let's check the correct answer for this question. First option is bootmgr. So bootmgr is a critical system file that is responsible for loading the Windows operating system, while corruption of this file can lead to boot issues. It is not directly related to the resetting of desktop icons and layout for a user. Second option is hosts. The host file is used for map host names to IP addresses and is not related to user specific desktop settings. Corruption of the host file would not cause the desktop icons and layout to be reset for a user. Third option is pagefile.sys. This is also incorrect answer. So this is a system file used by Windows for virtual memory management. Corruption of this file can lead to performance issues, but is not responsible for the resetting of desktop icons and layouts for a user. And last option is the user's local profile ntuser.dat. This is the correct answer for this question. The user's local profile, specifically the ntuser.dat file, stores user specific settings including desktop icons and layouts. If this file is corrupted, it can result in the desktop icons and the layouts being reset each time the user logs in. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, the user's Mac OS system requires reinstalling the OS but preserving user data. So which method is most appropriate? First option is reinstall Mac OS from recovery without erasing the disk. Second option is format with HFS plus, then restore time machine. So third option is login as a root for force reinstall. Last option is turn on gatekeeper. So let's check the correct answer for this question. The first option is reinstall and Mac OS from recovery without erasing the disk. This is the correct option for this question. And let's check the explanation. And the explanation is, reinstalling Mac OS from recovery without erasing the disk allows the user to reinstall the operating system while preserving user data. This method reinstalls the OS files without affecting the user's personal files and settings. Second option is format with HFS plus, then restore time machines. This is also incorrect answer. Formatting the disk with HFS plus and the restoring from time machine will erase all data on the disk before restoring from the backup. This method will not preserve those data during an installation process. Third option is login as a root for forced reinstall. This is also incorrect answer. Logging in a root for a forced install is not the most appropriate method for installing macOS while preserving user data. This method may cause data loss and is not recommended for maintaining user data during the OS reinstallation process. Last option is turn on gatekeeper. This is also incorrect. Turning on gatekeeper is a security feature in macOS that helps protect the system from malware. However, it is not relevant to reinstalling the OS while preserving user data. So let's move to the next question. The next question is, a new security policy requires that employees use complex password and change them every 60 days. On Windows domain join PCs, which tool enforces this? First option is Windows Registry Key HKLM. Second option is group policy on the domain controller. Third option is mobile device management. Last option is local security policy. So let's check the correct answer for this question. So first option is Windows Registry Key HKLM. So this is incorrect answer. The Windows Registry Key HKLM is not a tool that enforces password complexity and expiration policies on Windows domain join PCs. It is used for storing configuration settings and options for the operating system and applications. Second option is group policy on the domain controller. This is the correct answer for this question. Group policy on the domain controller is the correct tool for enforcing password complexity and expiration policies on Windows domain join PCs. Group policy allows administrator to centrally manage info security settings, including policies across all connected devices. Third option is mobile device management. This is also incorrect answer. So mobile device management is a tool used to managing and securing mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets, while it can enforce security policies on mobile devices. It is not typically used for enforcing password policies on Windows domain joint PCs. Last option is local security policy. So local security policy is a tool that allows administrator to configure security settings on individual Windows PC. However, it is not suitable for enforcing password complexity and expiration policies across the domain network of PCs. Group policy on the domain controller is appropriate tool for this task. That's why this is the incorrect answer. So this part is completed. So study hard, good luck, and thanks for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe the channel to see more video like this. So I will upload next part shortly. Thanks for watching. Thank you.